And we're live. Hello everybody, and welcome. How are you today? It is Melissa coming to you live on the Dixie Belle paint page, where I hang out every Wednesday around this time, sit on the floor and play with paint. If you are a new watcher, if you've not watched me before, I'd love it if you said hi in the comments below. Let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to hear where everybody's tuning in from. And this is where we sit on the floor and get messy, y'all. This is where we have a little bit of fun. And I have something kind of fun today that I never did before. And I'm not gonna lie, I practiced in the bottom drawer and then I painted over top of it because I thought we have to do this together. I can't start without y'all. I have to just wait for everybody to come and join me. So today we're gonna do a little blending with our best dang brush, my most favorite brush out of all the Dixie Belle brushes. I use this all the time to create a very easy blended finish. It allows me to get a really gorgeous kind of cloudy finish with any color. Then we're gonna hop on here and do something a little wild, something a little wacky and wild for Wednesday today. I have on the floor a humongous pile of leaves. Don't judge me. Y'all know that I I've lost my mind when it comes to painting, right? I do crap on here. I do things that we have never done before. I make things up as I go along. I paint things I've never painted. We're gonna paint like this on the drawer fronts, and then we're gonna stamp paint with real leaves on top of my dresser. It's Wild Wednesday, y'all. It's Wacky and Wild Wednesday. Let's do this. And actually I see a little spider, a little green spider hanging out on there. Maybe we'll stamp him in there too. I hope you're not afraid of bugs. Let's get started, shall we? All right, to begin with, I did clean this dresser with White Lightning before we began. After it was cleaned and rinsed, I came in with my Dixie Belle mud and I filled these holes. The reason I filled the holes with Dixie Belle mud is to prepare it for new hardware. So when I get a piece and I bring it inside, I often think about hardware before I start to paint. It's just kind of the way my brain goes. Very rarely I'll paint and then pick a hardware. I like to kind of have a direction, and I like to use my stash. I buy a lot of stuff. I use a lot of recycled items. I shop at the Restore. I shop at the Goodwill. People donate things to me. I just happen to have 3 of these really cute little arrows. See them? They're like a goldy brass colored arrow. So I filled the holes on the entire piece. And at the top, there's 2 more drawers. I'll tilt you up so you can have a quick peek. See the 2 drawers at the top. So this is the plan for the piece, okay? I've got 4 of these, which are gold as well. Gold and leather. See this little pull? My plan is to put 1, 2, 3, 4 across the top. Then 1, 2, 3 arrows. This tells me, this combination, that this is a masculine piece, right? So we're gonna paint it a little bit more masculine rather than feminine. To me, I gender my pieces. I know it's a weird and wild thing that I do, but I do it. So let's jump in and get started painting, shall we? If by chance I miss your question or comment as we go along, I do come back in after I'm finished, rewatch the video and answer them. So don't be afraid to drop it in the comments below and I will answer it later if I missed it. I do a lot of talking and not a lot of reading, and a lot of painting and a lot of teaching. You're gonna learn a lot while we're on here today for Wednesday. So let's jump in, shall we? Let's get started. So on the floor, I have some neutrals. I'm gonna open them all up. I'm gonna tell you what we're working with, and then I'm gonna mismatch them all together. So technically none of these colors are going to be true colors, okay? It's not like I'm gonna paint this dresser like one color of green. If y'all know me from the Top Drawer RVA, I like to do all of the things. I'm going to paint all of the things all of the time. So on the floor, we have coffee bean, we have palmetto, we have the beautiful and underused Pinecone, okay? We also have collard greens and then a neutral. I have drop cloth right here, all right? You don't think it's wild to gender paint? I do it all the time. Pieces are either boys or girls to me, and then they entirely go that way. But the combination of an arrow plus leather hardware, totally a boy. I mean, it could be a girl. Your body, your choice, but hey, to me, this screams masculine. So that's what we're gonna do today. So why do I have such a light color, like drop cloth or sawmill gravy, with my darks? If you know how I paint, you know that I always talk about having a neutral to help blend and pull colors together. My plan for this piece is to do it like this bottom drawer. You can see this beautiful ombre finish. It's very faded, it's very gorgeous. And we're gonna get at it with the leaves in a hot minute. But first, we're gonna paint these 2 drawers, and I'm gonna show you how I achieved this finish. And it's very simple. If you have ordered your best dang brush, or if you have one, you know that this makes your job way easier than anything else you're going to use. If you don't have one, get one. It is a game changer. You are going to love it. Get two. I like to keep one for lights and one for darks. That's how we roll. All right, so remember, all the colors that I'm using today are going to be mashed in here. We're not going to keep anything clean and neat and tidy. They're going to be blended together. So let's start with a tiny bit of coffee bean, okay? The coffee bean is going to go on the edges, right? Because I want the darkest of the dark on my edges, right? So I'm just going to start with that. I'm going to use the same brush and I'm going to come into the collard greens. Collard greens is a beautiful, rich, really dark green. I'm just laying my paint down, getting it kind of organized to where the color is going to live. We're going to blend it together. I am fairly heavy-handed with my paint, you guys. I'm not a gentle, thin coat kind of a painter. I am more of a super duper oversaturated, too much paint on my projects painter, but it works and it's going to work for this look. Okay, so I'm going to keep this brush in kind of for the darks. So that means collard greens, palmetto, and coffee bean all go on with this one brush. I am then going to change brushes and come in to my Pinecone. Now this Pinecone is very underused. I don't see a lot of people use this color. I don't know if it's because people just are afraid of it because it looks a little bit poopy in the jar. It's a little brown, right? It's a little brown, and on its own, I don't think I would like it at all. But it is a great blending color for using as a wash over top of pieces as you go along. It is a great color for pulling greens into neutrals. It's really good. It's a great color, trust me. Okay, so far we've done a little bit of coffee bean, a little bit of palmetto, we did some collard greens, and then we added in that pine cone. So in the middle, this lighter color that you're seeing is drop cloth. If you don't have drop cloth, you can do this with salmon gravy, French linen. You can do it with any of the colors that are like a nice lighter value. Again, I'm going to change brushes for this project, okay? I'm not changing brushes when I'm like with a like-minded color, but when I really change the value of what I'm doing, which is from straight dark to light like this, I want to keep a different brush so it doesn't get too contaminated. I don't mind a little mix of color. We're going to mash it all up anyways. But just to keep it a little bit more true, I'm going to stick to the plan. So a separate brush for each color, or a separate brush just for the browns and then just for the creams, okay? So now here, this brush, when you use this brush, it is a blendy brush. It's great for wax, it's great for blending, it's great for texture, but this brush is synthetic and also natural fibers. That means that this brush is a little pokey, y'all. It's a pokey brush. And I keep reminding people of this because if you were to just jump in right now and start to blend your colors together, you're gonna pull off all the work that you just did, because this pokey brush holds a lot of paint inside. So here on the floor, I have my heat gun, and I'm just gonna kind of dry that first coat a little bit before we do the same thing. We're gonna keep the same color pattern, and then we're gonna mash it together on the second coat. You with me so far? Have any questions while I'm looking up here at the screen? I can see your words, and we can have a little chat. Any questions at all? Just so you know, all the paint that I am using today is Dixie Belle paint products. All of these products are zero VOCs. They are pet friendly, kid friendly, and safe to use in your home. There's no smells. I'm in my dining room right now. Pets, kids, dogs, all of the things. So don't be afraid to paint in your house. So this is chalk mineral paint. I like to use a dampened brush or use a spray misting bottle filled with water to keep my brush damp. This allows me to keep the paint kind of movable, and this becomes very important on this next part, right? This next part of blending the color together. All right, so corners were coffee bean, a little bit of palmetto, a little bit of collard greens. I came in with that pine cone, and then we added drop cloth. What we're gonna do next is basically the same thing that we just did, okay? We're just gonna take the same colors that we did to begin with and lay them back down, because you're blending on the second coat. All right, remember I kept one brush for my darks, my collard greens, my beautiful coffee bean on the corners, and then a little bit of that palmetto in the middle. I kind of kept one brush for that. one brush for the browns, and one brush for the creams, okay? So I'm coming in here with my second coat, really just kind of re-dampening the edges. I want to make sure that this is going to be movable for when we get in here and start to blend our colors. So again, keeping your brushes damp. These brushes were already damp when I started. I've washed them today once already. I don't like to spray my piece. I'd rather spray my brush. This allows me to control a little bit more of what paint is going where. This will be more of like a textured piece when it comes down to it, because when you use this brush, this beautiful Best Staying brush, this is the brush that's going to move everything around. So I use this one today and it's quite damp. So I'm going to stop and go to my other one because I don't want it to be too wet. Too wet pulls it back too much and doesn't let me achieve this look. So doesn't this look crazy that this and this are the exact same? That I got this from this? It looks nuts, doesn't it? But trust me, let's learn. So you have your Best Staying brush, which is your 70% natural and 30% synthetic brush. This brush works best for me when it's damp. Also on the floor, I have a paper towel. This is going to allow me to blend these colors together and blot off my brush. When you see me pushing my brush down, you're seeing me take off the excess amount of paint from my brush, okay? You're also going to see me go from holding a big brush like this to holding a big brush like this. Well, what does that help you do? Holding a brush closer to the bristles is going to allow you more control when you're working. It's going to give you the ability to blend a little bit easier. All right, you have more control. Hello, I see some people hopping on. All right, so let's do it. Let's take these colors. I'm going to start here at the base, okay, because I want to kind of bring the dark up into the light. I don't want to dirty this light part too much. So let's start at the bottom and start to turn this blended color into like more of a clouded blend, all right? So this masculine dresser of mine that I want to do, and remember, I'm gonna use a lot of water because I need that brush to stay damp. So this blended dresser is really gonna be neat. I'm gonna do this to the drawers and then we're gonna stamp those leaves on there. But I want to make it look like nature. Does that make sense? My plan for this with the leaves is to really make this become, I don't know, a masculine piece that has a nature vibe. Totally made that up as I go along. It's usually how I roll. How are we doing? Can you still see? I feel like you're up a little high. Let's aim you down a tiny bit more. Again, spraying and blotting off on my little paper towel is allowing me to not oversaturate my brush with color, right? You're also going to get huge muscles when you do this because you're moving your arms around, you're moving the paint around. All right, so now I've kind of got those darks blended in, right? They're kind of blended into each other. They've kind of disappeared. The line of what was where is going away. Let's start to take this lighter color, which is drop cloth, in the middle and start to bring it down into the piece, okay? Again, spraying the brush. Now I'm going to start to pull some of this creamy value over a little bit. I don't want any of this to really be true drop cloth. That would be too light. So I'm going to stop. I feel like my brush is getting a little draggy. I'm going to blot it off and I'm going to continue my blend. I also don't want this ombre to be perfect. I don't mind if one side is a little bit darker than the other because there will be wax. There will be all sorts of things on here to really kind of make it flow naturally. I don't want it to be too perfect. All right, so continue along. Pulling that pretty drop cloth down. You'll see me go in small circular motions. It gives it a little bit of a texture. It adds a little bit of texture to your piece. Can you see that drop cloth disappearing now? Oh, it's legit hard on my arm. I'm gonna have arm ache after this. I didn't paint for 5 days. I took a couple days off. I went to the beach with my girlfriend and maybe I'm paying for it now. Maybe I've lost some arm strength by not using my Best Staying brush. I've lost it. I've lost the blending. So there we are. I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna shut this and show you now. So this drawer and the bottom drawer were painted at the same colors, the same things, but the value looks a little different. I think I lost a little bit of the Palmetto on the bottom and maybe added a bit more of that drop cloth. This is okay. This is just the beginning of what I'm gonna do. I can easily come back down here and add a little bit of this Palmetto if I wanted to and change some of the color. You are in control of how you design your piece. I think I also added a little bit more mud puddle, or not mud puddle, sorry, of this pine cone in the middle. So let's kind of add a little bit of that value back down to the bottom one that's already a little bit dry. Let's warm it up some with these colors of paint. So like I said, I practiced on this piece this morning, painting these leaves, and then painted over top of them because I kind of got my idea of how I'm gonna do it. I wanted to wait for y'all. So we're gonna go back down here. I'm actually gonna switch brushes and blend this in here. You also need to know that I will be adding a ton of wax to this piece as well. I'll be adding really beautiful Best Dang Wax in brown, probably some Best Dang Wax in black, and now we're back in business. So I liked this pine cone color up here. It's a little bit stronger in this drawer, so I wanted to add some of that value down here. I want this masculine piece, remember we're adding this kind of beautiful masculine hardware, to have a smoky feel. How do I feel about this? Do you like this? Do you like this smoky blend? Actually, when it dries, this one's wet, this one's dry, it does dry a little bit darker in value, I find. Usually does. Chalk mineral paint tends to change a little bit in color. Let's do all three drawers. After we do all three drawers, oh, this is gonna be hard holding up that Best Dang brush. After we do all three drawers, we're gonna play with the leaves and we're gonna make something magical happen. So let's repeat what we just did. We're gonna start in the corners with coffee bean, adding that darkness. This piece doesn't have anything on it other than a good clean with white lightning and a sand scuff. Of course, you can see my edges that have been, or sorry, my holes that have been covered with my mud for the new hardware. And I'm not even changing out my brushes. I'm just adding on this color. Let's add that really pretty Palmetto right in the middle. I liked that look. I have the top poles, remember, are gonna be leather. I feel like leather is a really pretty mix with this rustic blend. Thank you. It does feel masculine, doesn't it? Makes me happy when a vision comes to life because sometimes you just go another way and then end up painting over the whole entire thing. So let's add in that pine cone. You can see how those holes just disappear, right? They literally go away when it comes to covering with that Dixie Belle mud. If you haven't tried Dixie Belle mud itself, I probably have it behind me on the floor somewhere. Here it is. Dixie Belle mud is such a great way to sand these holes back to flat. Like they disappear, where sometimes I've found other wood fillers shrink and don't give you that same value. Like you're almost able then to see where they shrunk in the holes. Dixie Belle mud is really great for covering hardware holes. So now I'm coming in here with the drop cloth. We have our gorgeous brownish color pine cone. Have you used pine cone? I feel like I've only really used it maybe like 3 times before, but I wanted like that brown. I like this color, and I also like Holy Guacamole. It was a tough choice to choose which one was going to be the one that was going to pull the colors together. So let's dry it a little bit. Once we dry it, we can come in for the second coat, and then we're going to be able to mash it with the Best Dang brush. How we got this beautiful cloudy blend is from the Best Dang brush. So let's dry it a little bit. This is like the bane of my existence, waiting for paint to dry. It's like all I ever do is hurry up, dry. I'm a very impatient painter, but I also like to teach you like a whole look. I don't want to leave you hanging. Because 9 times out of 10, I just hang up my video call here and just go straight to finishing the whole darn thing. So I want you to see as much as you can see to learn how to achieve this look. Okay, So now that the base coat is pretty majorly dry, because remember you're going to be using the Belle Stain brush to pull the colors together, I'm going to come in here with the second coat. We've got our collard greens, gorgeous. It's been a while since I've used collard greens. I kind of forgot how pretty it is, how much I like it. We have our beautiful coffee bean on the corners. And again, same brush. I'm going to jump into that Palmetto in the bottom. All right, so I'm going to come up now and add the Pinecone. Can you see how heavy-handed I am when it comes to painting? I'm not a light painter, but I also find that using that little bit extra amount of paint when you're pushing around with your Belle Stain brush gives a texture to the piece, right? It gives it almost like a vibe, a textured vibe when you don't even have anything textured on there. It's just the paint. The paint itself is thick enough that it just moves that way when you push it around with the brush. All right, so we're putting the drop cloth in the middle. I see a puppy hair. Get out. And then we're gonna mash it together with our Belle Stain brush. Might even put a little bit more down here. Okay, so we're gonna go back to our Belle Stain brush. I have two on the floor, remember? One was more wet than the other. And then we're gonna play with some nature in leaves and stamping and making stuff up. It's gonna be so much fun. So remember holding the brush a little bit lower to the bristles. Starting on the darker side, pushing off that extra paint onto your rag or your paper towel, because remember this brush holds a ton of paint on there, and you might not want all of that color to stick in there. So small circular motions. Again, I'm feeling it drag. Let's just wipe it off, respray. And circular motions are bringing it back in and creating that lovely texture. So now that my darks are pretty much blended, right? Let's start to move up a little bit and bring some of that light into this value. Again, you feel it start to drag, wipe it off. This brush holds a ton of paint. If you're tuning in late, I'm doing a ombre blend on a masculine style piece using my Belle Stain brush and a bunch of really pretty greens and neutrals. And we're gonna get crazy in a hot minute and hand stamp leaves that I picked from my garden onto the piece, because why not? Why not? It was a lot of fun playing with them this morning. Actually, if you check out my TikTok, I did a quick little video just when I was playing. When I'm playing with my paint, sometimes I turn my camera on so that I can record what I'm doing, because I also forget what I'm doing a lot of the time. I have to go back and look. So you can go left or right, but I like this small circular motion. Remember we talked about the texture it creates, giving it that kind of a smokier feel. I'm not joking, my arm right now, it's getting tired. It's hard to lean up and do this. If I wasn't with you sitting on the floor, I would actually be on a stool, proper like, but you know, the things I do for love, right? I want you to be able to see all the things. So let's bring some of this down here and cover up some of this green. I don't want the green to be too perfect. Better. And work on this corner a little bit. Okay. So now we have 3 drawers blended in an ombre finish using coffee bean, collard greens, Pinecone, drop cloth, and that's it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Collard greens, coffee bean, oh, little Palmetto. Then we are going to now stop, because we're going to look at what we did. So we have this kind of ombre blend, dark to light. I can see that this bottom drawer might need a little bit more dark on it. I feel like I went a little bit heavier on the top too. I'm not hating it, but I might need to add a little bit more green down here. Let's go back down to the bottom and add a little bit more green to the bottom drawer. There you go. Somebody's jumping in and saying the colors. Thank you, save the day, thanks. Okay, so I'm gonna come back in with my coffee bean. I just wanna add a little bit more darker. This drawer somehow got like a little bit lighter, and I wanna fix it. just want to add a little bit more love down there before we start stamping it. Let me make it match, okay? So I'm going to pull these colors together. I've got my dampened brush. That's better. That drawer for some reason got real light compared to the other ones. Okay, so now I have completed my initial kind of base. This is the plan for this piece, this kind of smoky greens, this masculine piece, again with the new hardware. Remember, we're gonna be adding these beautiful gold arrows right in the middle. You know I'm gonna be gilding the corners with gold because hello, look at how cute that is. Now I'm sweating buckets from that best dang brush. Let's get reorganized and talk a little bit about how we're gonna do these leaves, okay? Because I'm gonna have to aim the camera down. I did the leaves when I played with them this morning on the floor, but what happened was it got really hard to push hard enough, if that made sense. So I'm gonna aim this camera, I'm gonna bring you in, I'm gonna put you over my shoulder, all right? You're not gonna lose what I'm doing, but we're gonna have a little play over here. Okay, so you thought I was joking. I have leaves on the floor. Leaves from my garden, mostly hydrangeas, some ivy, some smaller. I even grabbed some little rose petals down here, okay? So this is how I played this morning and practiced. So today when I practiced and I did my little leaves on the piece, I used all the colors on the project. And I took a picture of it and I didn't like it. You know what I didn't like? I didn't like all of the colors mixed together. The colors I did like were coffee bean, because it's nice and dark. And I also liked the drop cloth. So I'm gonna put them over here closer. And we're gonna start, go big or go home, with coffee bean. So let's take the same brush. I don't care if there's a little bit of green in it. When you look at a leaf, right, you've got the veiny side, the underside has more veins than the other side. I did it both ways. I played both ways to see what would happen. The veiny side worked better. I'm gonna put it on the ground. You can't see it down here, but I'm just gonna paint it, okay? I'm painting it with coffee bean. I'll pick it up and show you. Okay, so now here's my leaf painted in coffee bean, right? This is where we get crazy because when's the last time you put outside nature on your drawers? It's fun in here. I play with things. So I practiced this morning. I did it straight across the bottom. I didn't love it. I think I'm gonna come into the corners instead and try that way. So you can see over my shoulder, right? I'm gonna lay the leaf down gently. Now here's where I played. I had a roller. I rolled it. I didn't like the roller because I felt like the roller moved the leaf. What I found worked best for me was just taking my fingers and pushing the leaf down. So I'm pushing the veiny side of the leaf onto my piece, and once it's on there, you peel it off. So now I'm gonna build leaves, however you wanna say it, all the way around their edge. Let's do this, right? So I liked the light and I like the brown. Should I stay with just coffee bean and do them around the edge, or should I add the drop cloth? Consensus? Anybody have an opinion? I know somebody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. There's no way that y'all don't have an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. So I'm gonna just continue on with my pattern. I think I wanna just do like the whole bottom corner. Should I continue with my coffee bean, or should I add drop cloth as well? Drop it in the comments below. I'm gonna look up there again in a minute and you're gonna tell me. So I'm putting on my paint. I've stamped my paint on to my tiny leaf. Somebody's saying add drop cloth. Somebody's saying stay dark. We will see. Let's add another one. Should we do the other side or should we continue on this side? I feel like I might need to go on this side. Ooh, Oh goodness, I need a bigger living room. Stay dark. I kind of feel like it should stay dark. Like I did like the light ones, but I don't know if I should mix. So again, I'm just pushing this leaf down. Another way you could do this is, look what I just did. Another way you could do this is to put a piece of paper on here and then roll it or then push it. But y'all, I like to get my hands dirty and make a mess. I also don't want this to be perfect. I want it to look fun and textured and amazing. Look at, so cute. Do you like it? Doesn't it look pretty? Who needs stencils? We got nature. We have nature over here. Look at this leaf. Giant. I feel like it's probably too big. I picked a whole bunch of different sizes, wondering what would happen. Let's do this one. Should we? This is from a rose bush. I'm gonna paint it and stick it on my dresser because that's what normal people do, is paint nature and stick it on dressers, right? I didn't ever say I was normal. I never did. All right, let's add this one over here. Now here's the ticket, is getting it like where you're gonna put it and leaving it be. Like once it goes down, you can't really pick it up because you've already made your impression of your leaf, right? So I'm just pushing this leaf down. I think I could probably push them all down and leave them on here too, and then peel them off when they're dry. But yo, this is an experiment. So cute. What are we thinking? Do you love it? It's so cute. I'm gonna knock my paint on the floor. Listen, it's okay. Did you see my pants? There's paint everywhere in this house. You're lucky if you escape with no paint on you. There's going to be paint. There's paint, there's drop cloth down here. I'm a little bit safe. Okay, so let's just keep taking that coffee bean and see what happens. I feel like I kind of like this little guy. I need to kind of keep a little bit of continuity. Should I add maybe a little bit of drop cloth to the middle of the coffee bean to like lighten up some of the value? Let's try one and see what happens. If we hate it, I would stick another leaf over top of it. Ooh, y'all, I like this. I like it. So again, let's keep going. Let's go back to this kind of, I think this was off my tree. Let's just touch a little bit of the drop cloth in the middle and see what happens. Just a baby bit in the middle and see what happens. We're experimenting. We're playing with our paint. Because why wouldn't you play with your paint? I'm literally curling the leaf around the edge of the dresser. So I don't mind actually that tiny little bit of drop cloth there. I kind of dig it. Maybe needs a little bit of light along with the dark. Let's keep going. I'm trying to stay a little bit balanced. Like I don't want it to be too far crazy. Like I want them to look a little bit matchy. This is from, I think, my magnolia tree. This one's a lot slicker. It doesn't have like the veiny underside. Look at that guy. Let's do him. That's fabulous. Look at that. Let's do this. Anybody else bored yet? You all right? You still enjoying yourself? You hanging in with my crazy Wednesday? Wacky Wednesday? Painting with leaves? I'm gonna put a little bit of that cream in the middle of this one too. Just a bit, just a touch. Okay, so again, picking up your painted leaf and let's put it on. I'm gonna go this way. I feel like this guy needs to come all the way over here. Which way should it go? Yeah, it needs to go right there. How much do I overlap? I'm sorry, talking to myself. This is how I do things. I like to talk to myself. We're gonna overlap it a little bit because that way I can come back in with a smaller one. So I'm just pushing it down with my hands. Remember, I tried the little roller. I tried this guy, didn't like it. I know there's other ways to do this. There's probably a technical term for what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm totally just making it up as I go along. Okay, so now we've got our leaf over here. You're gonna peel it off. You can do the same leaf twice. You don't have to just do one. You can keep going, if that makes sense. It makes like a lesser strength pattern. I feel like that one went up. Should we match the same? Yeah, let's match them on the other side. I didn't add any paint. I'm just gonna use the same skeleton of the leaf. I wanna see how much more veining happens if it's not as strong. It's kind of maybe a bit better, actually. So let's look at what we've done so far. We're adding leaves over top of our cloudy finish. This handle, which is right here, will be going in the middle. I'll be gilding the edges. How many drawers do I do? Do I only do the bottom drawer? Do I keep going on every corner all the way up? Do I stop? What's the rule here, people? The rule is that there is no rules. Look, I have a little ivy leaf. Let's do him. I feel like he's a bit smaller. Or should I stay with the pokier ones? Let's do this one. So this is actually this is a hairy leaf from my Lazy Susans. Let's see how he goes. I'm keeping my brush fairly moist, fairly damp. I can't use this one. I painted the backside now. Let's take a different one. Start again. It flipped over on me. So I'm going to paint the back. I like the leaves that have these sharp edges. Ooh, it's crunchy. Oh, it has like, it's like a pokey, hairy leaf. I can't, the texture of it's really throwing me off. Not a fan. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you? You like this? Thank you. You know what? This is what happens when you play with your paint. Have some fun and enjoy yourself. There's no rules in painting. There's no rules telling you have to do stuff a certain way. Gosh, paint it however, what color, whatever you like, whatever makes you happy. That leaf was really, I did not like the feel of that. That was from my Lazy Susans. It had like a hairy feel on it, totally creeped me out. Okay, so let's stop right now and look at what we did. Let me put this back in and see if I can get it back on the track. Let's see what we did. So we took that drop cloth and a tiny little bit of the coffee bean and we stamped the leaves on there. See that? What do we think? Do you like it? Is it weird and wild and crazy? Or is it actually pretty good? I'm kind of digging it. This one's my favorite so far. This little leaf right here is my favorite. Let's move up into the second drawer. So I could paint the rest of the base, continue this leafy pattern only on the bottom corners, or I could do all of the drawers in the corners. What's the verdict here? What's the opinion? How are we thinking? I feel like I don't want to get too crazy, right? I don't want to like overpower. Plus, maybe only I like weird and wild leaves on there, but it's a lot of fun. You like it? Thank you, Amber. Okay, I think in my head I can see the rest of the dresser painted and see these leaves coming down on the base, like on the feet down here. And then what'll happen is the rest of the dresser can kind of stay naked, and I could possibly do the top two drawers. I think I will stop. I have a lot of leaves on the floor, but you know, so if you're asking me what leaves I use, I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea. I have rose petals, I have hydrangea leaves, any leaf that has a nice veiny texture. See that vein? See, for a guy, I would stick to the bottom. You're right, because this is a masculine dresser, right? It's definitely on the more manly side. So the gold arrows will go in the middle. The leather pulls will go at the top. I like the dark value. You're right, keep it at the bottom. It's definitely smarter that way, right? What do you think? It was kind of fun, right? It was a kind of a fun day. I think for me, I will stop right now while I'm ahead, reevaluate, put my fan on a little bit, and see what happens. I see like a little line here that's bothering me. Let's take that line away. There it goes. We've got our best dang brush, which allowed us to get that nice cloudy finish we used today. The colors I used today were coffee bean into palmetto with collard greens. The middle kind of had a little bit more of that pine cone, and then I dragged that drop cloth in. I picked leaves from my garden because I'm wild and crazy like that. Any leaves would do as long as they have a nice veiny texture. Look at how big this leaf is. Wouldn't it be crazy to get some of those giant elephant leaves and like do like a whole, like lay your dresser down flat and do like a massive leaf? That would be crazy cool. That would be crazy. I took the leaf, I colored the underside of the leaf with paint, and I stuck it on my piece. By sticking it on with the veiny side down, I'm giving it a imprint. This is the technical term? Leaf imprinting? Is it a thing? I mean, I remember in art, laying leaves down and coloring paper over top and getting that veiny imprint. There's got to be a name for it, but I just kind of flew by the seat of my pants today. So this is all I did, and this is what I'm going to continue to do to this whole tall dresser. This is a really tall dresser. I'll stain the top in dark espresso to match this coffee bean, and I will gild the corners. I'll probably put a lot of Dixie dirt on there to really deepen and darken the corners. I'll probably even sand back so some of the wood shows through. But at the end of the day, how did we like this? Was this fun? Did you learn something today? It's kind of wild and wonderful, but here's the deal. Be yourself, be authentic. Don't follow the rules. Do what makes you happy. And I think that you will create some beautiful and fun things. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. I want to see how these dry. I mean, can you see? Should I hold this up closer for you? Can you see how cool this looks up close? You can literally see the veins from the leaves. Can you see those really fun little veins? How fun, right? That cloudy finish is super easy to achieve when you use your best dang brush. I don't think that you could do a look like this without the best dang brush. If you haven't got one yet, they are very reasonably priced. Please click that little link above my head, find your local retailer to get your own or have it sent straight to your door. I give you permission to go ahead and get messy, get wacky and wild, and paint with what you have in your yard, because who would have thought that this would have looked so neat? I will finish it up in the next couple of days. If you want to see the finished product, tune into my Facebook page, which is the Top Drawer RVA. I did link it above my head so that you can all come over and join me, follow along, where I just paint whatever tickles my fancy and we have fun doing it. But I am live every Wednesday here on the Dixie Belle paint page, and that is all for me, folks. I hope you have a great day. I am going to clean up and go meet my daughter off the bus. Today was the first day back at school, so it is an important day, and I think ice cream is in order. Mama needs some ice cream. We're gonna go. All right, take care, everybody. I'll see you next week. Bye.